In this module, we will make a web submission. To do this, click on the Submissions tab located at the top of your screen. You will first need to select the species you will be sampling. And then you will see a complete list of submission forms that the ISU VDL offers for that particular species. Select the appropriate submission form that best suits your sampling needs. VDL clientele will only be able to access the library of owner and farm site information that is affiliated with their clinic login information. Once you populate the clinic information, you will have a library of owners to select from using your drop-down menus. Once you select an owner, you will notice that the location-based identifiers for that owner auto-populate based on the information provided from your owner library. If you are unsure whether or not an owner exists in your library, you can search for the keywords of the owner using the search link. If you find the owner, you can select it and it will auto-populate into your drop-down menu. If it is indeed a new owner for your library, you can add it by clicking on the Add link here. However, this feature will be discussed in greater detail in another module. Additionally, if you notice that any of your owner information needs to be updated, you can click on the Edit link here. Update any information, and then click Save. By selecting a pre-populated owner, you now have the ability to select a site from that particular owner using your drop-down menus. Once you select a site, you will notice that the location-based identifiers and associated premises ID for that site auto-populate based on the information provided from your site library. Additionally, if you include any premises type, source or flow, or reference information on a given site, that information will also auto-populate onto your submission form as shown here. You will continue filling out any additional premises level information you need to include, such as lot or group IDs or reasons for testing. In the Samples section, select your collection date and fill in the number of samples. There are two different methods to add your sample information. The first option is to add your samples by filling in the table on the submission form. Once you fill in the first row, you can copy that row and another sample ID is created. You can easily add many rows by entering the number of sample IDs you need here. This works well when your animal ID is sequential and all of your subsequent sample information matches. The second option is to upload an Excel template. To do this, you will download the sample template, fill in all of your sample information, and then upload the file. This feature is discussed in greater detail in another module. Next, you will select your sample type and fill in the number of sample IDs for each sample type. Then select any testing you request for these samples. It is important to note that in the molecular section, you can select either individual sample testing or pooled sample testing. Be sure you check one or the other and fill in your sample IDs. If you select pooled samples, be sure to include how many samples you want per pool. Once your submission form is complete, you can click Submit. Once submitted, your submission form will be given a web ID number. It is important to make sure you include this web ID along with a submitter name and clinic with your samples so we can properly identify them at the lab. A simple way to be sure you include the web ID is to print the mailing label with the web ID already printed on it, which you will find here. Additionally, you can save or print a hard copy of your submission form by clicking on Submission Details here. However, the ISU VDL does not require you to print the submission form as long as the web ID is clearly identified with your samples. To view your past web submissions, click on the Past Web Submissions tab. Here you will be able to see all of the cases you have submitted via the web. On the far right column, you will see 3 icons. The PDF icon is your submission form. The middle envelope icon is the mailing label with the associated web ID, and the bottom icon is the clone feature, which we will discuss in greater detail in another module. Additionally, you can click on the web ID to edit your submission until the lab receives your samples. This feature is also discussed in greater detail in another module.